The Terrifier franchise has made quite a name for itself with its freaky clown antagonist and gory storylines. After a nail-biting Terrifier 2, the third movie of the series is finally here, and it is just as bloody and bizarre as we're used to seeing from the franchise. Terrifier 3 is essentially a Christmas slasher flick complete with all the holiday songs and themes, alongside the gruesome murders, and the notorious Art the Clown has found a new accomplice this time around. In this video, we will take you through a detailed breakdown of the movie, elaborate on the cliffhanger ending, and also explore the unique physiological details of Art the Clown. There will be some major spoilers along the way, so you have been warned. But before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means an awful lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Best Christmas ever, filled with fun, smiles, and laughter.
How does Terrifier 3 set up the revival of Art the Clown? The movie is a direct sequel to Terrifier 2, and a character from the first movie is Victoria Hayes, brought back into the picture. She has a prominent role this time around, and even the protagonist of Terrifier 2, Sienna Shaw, is back in action. The story is set up after the defeat of Art the Clown at the hands of Sienna on the infamous Halloween night. Art was decapitated by Sienna, but we all know that Art would be back soon one way or another. In fact, the mid-credit scene where Victoria bursted Art's head made things pretty clear regarding his comeback. We see Art's decapitated body getting discovered here, and the murderous clown attacks the man who finds him. He then attaches the head of the man he attacked to his own and boards a subway train. Finally, he makes his way to the psychiatric ward and finds Victoria. His head is now reunited with his body, and what follows is yet another killing spree, where the nurses from the second movie are killed brutally. However, following his murderous rampage, things remain dormant for Art, who hides it out in an abandoned building for 5 years. He is woken up by the demolition men who come to survey the abandoned property, and once the clown is awakened, there is no stopping him. Art and his accomplice Victoria piled up some more bodies along the way, and it soon becomes evident that history is repeating itself. Meanwhile, Sienna Shaw is released from a psychiatric hospital, and she goes to stay with her maternal aunt Jessica, her husband Greg, and her daughter Gabby. Sienna is still severely traumatized by the events of the past, and in gruesome visions torment her memory. She even catches a glimpse of Art at the store, and when she watches the mass murder news on TV, she knows exactly what is happening. So there you have it, the perfect Christmas slasher set in motion, as the protagonist and the iconic villain are both out in the open just like old times.
Who's this Santa? He's scaring my kid.
Yeah.
What do we learn about Art the Clown's demonic nature in the movie? We all love franchises that take time out to ensure that the lore is constantly expanded. It is heartening to see Terrifier 3 expand on Art the Clown's lore quite a bit. Sienna's brother Jonathan, who is now in college, helps out with some information, but it is largely revealed through letters and journals that Sienna finds at her aunt's place. She comes across letters that were written by Elliot to her and elaborated on how to defeat Art. Here it is explained that Art is essentially a demonic entity, and such demons need a vessel to cross over and thrive in the mortal realm. The recently deceased host provides the perfect opportunity, and Sienna's brother believed that the pale girl seen with him is the vessel. If she is somehow destroyed, it would in turn destroy and kill Art as well. Of course, things are slightly different in Terrifier 3, where Victoria is the vessel, and she is the one who started it off by rebirthing his head. The letters that Sienna comes across also point out that a demon like Art has an angelic counterpart, and Sienna holds that position in this particular case. This is even more prominent through certain flashback sequences, where she can be seen speaking to her father when she was a child. He drew his first female heroine, and this became Sienna's favorite Halloween costume. He then handed over the painting, even though a force tried to stop him, and clearly there was a spiritual connection that was passed on to his daughter. It also lays out some crucial information about this special sword that has the powers to potentially kill Art. Now back in the current situation, Sienna realizes that she needs to go back and retrieve the sword if she has to have a chance against such a deadly opponent. Ending explained. Is this Art the Clown's deadliest outing? How does it end for him? Many of the fans who have witnessed the gruesome killings and morbid setting of the movie have claimed that Terrifier 3 is the goriest misadventure in the series, and they might not be overstepping here. The climatic scenes are indeed crammed with some grotesque killings that are not meant for the weak of heart. It all starts off as Art and Victoria head out to Sienna's new residence and lay waste to her family. Her uncle is killed, and her aunt meets with the same fate. This is easily one of the the worst deaths in the movie, where she is force-fed rats through a plastic tube for the inevitable to happen. Sienna is tied to a chair and things don't look too good for her until there is a miraculous respite. Her cousin Gabby turns out to be a clever fellow and even digs out the sword that was previously dispatched. It turns out to be the perfect Christmas gift in this crisis, and Sienna soon frees herself and decapitates the demonically influenced woman. Even Art the Clown finally gets some angelic justice as Sienna slashes his throat and impales him against the wall using her special sword. It could have been the perfect ending, but Sienna is unable to land a final killing blow, and the killer clown finds a way to get away. Victoria's body is dragged into the underworld, and Sienna's cousin Gabby also has a similar fate. Sienna is left in tears, and Art is able to escape in what promises to be a laughter-evoking final scene. Sienna promises to figure out how to get her cousin back, and Art leaves in his severely injured state. He gets rid of his comical Santa Claus suit and gets onto a bus. A lot of his supernatural powers seem to be gone following the violent confrontation with Sienna, and he seems extremely tired and drained. There is another woman on the bus who is reading the book The Ninth Circle, which is a clever nod to Art's final appearance in All Hallows Eve. We can assume that the night wouldn't go so well for the woman on the bus or the bus driver, and surely the menace of Art the Clown is far from over. Will there be a Terrifier 4? Future of the franchise explored. Like all good things, the Terrifier franchise 2 will come to an end at some point, and honestly, it is better than overstaying its welcome and dragging the narrative unnecessarily. Earlier, writer-director Damien Leone had said that he would want to end it with a trilogy or a quadrilogy, and from the way Terrifier 3 has ended, it seems like we're in for the latter. When Leone finally confirmed that Terrifier 4 is already in the works, many started to speculate that the fourth movie will also be the final one in the franchise. However, Damien Leone himself has given contradicting statements on the same. During an interview, he said that the announcement of Terrifier 4 was a bit premature, and he also stated that the franchise might need a fifth film to wrap things up properly. As we all know, the future of the franchise is often dependent on the success of the movies, and given how Terrifier 3 has received a positive response from the fans, it might be a smart idea for the makers to enjoy the cash grab and extend the run. How can Terrifier 4 look like? Now, that is almost certain that Terrifier 4 is going to happen. Let us quickly go through the story possibilities. Firstly, the comeback of Art the Clown has to be stronger and effective in how the franchise fashions that remains to be seen. Secondly, we expect Sienna to play a crucial role, and even if she cannot get her cousin back, she's going to try with everything she has. Lastly, the nature of the fourth movie will depend a lot on whether or not it will be the last in the franchise. If the makers try to sum it up with Terrifier 4, you might be in for another epic showdown between Sienna and Art, which will destroy the demonic entity once and for all. What is Art the Clown, and why is it impossible to kill him? We have already elaborated on the nature of Art the Clown in this video, and it is quite clear that Art is basically a demonic entity who needs a vessel to wreak havoc in the mortal realm. Because of his demonic nature, Art cannot be killed by normal means, and you can do precious little with ordinary weapons against his mighty being. In Terrifier 3, we see the special sword do its trick on Art, but the fact that it is a sword with superpowers makes it clear that Art cannot be killed by any simple means. Besides, even if Art is beheaded, he can still survive, as we've seen in this movie. He can use the heads of his victims as his own, morbid as that sounds. His survival is not dependent on his physical form, which makes Art all the more difficult to be contained. We cannot wait to find out how the franchise finally finds a way to get rid of him. How is the personality of Art the Clown? It has been well established in the movies that Art the Clown is more than just a mean killing machine. This demented demon enjoys slaughtering his victims in the worst ways imaginable, and he relishes the methods of torture and mutilation that the victims are subjected to. There have been times when he simply kept the victim alive to see how much torture they can endure. He has a variety of supernatural abilities, and he uses these powers to induce fear among his victims. Art is basically a relentless serial killer who stops at nothing from tracking down his prey, and he can be quite expressive and emotional. The exaggerated expressions and communication methods often give way his psychotic tendencies. However, he does have a cowardly side as well, and he surely knows when to run, as we've seen when the going gets tough for him. What is the purpose of this demonic entity? We've seen this terrifying entity killing several people mercilessly, and he has been known to arrive on Halloween nights to go on a murderous rampage. But what is his ultimate goal? Well, as a sadistic demon who simply enjoys killing, we are tempted to believe that he does what he does simply for the love of violence. There is a theory that suggests Art could have been a doctor back in the day and he was obsessed with the human anatomy. He started to enjoy carving up his victims in creative ways, and such a sick freak became the demonic entity we now see. It is almost like a twisted child who gets to live all his twisted fantasies because of his superpowers. At this point in the franchise, Art might be motivated by revenge as well, because Sienna has humbled him on multiple occasions now. Marvelous verdict, a worthy successor. Franchises do not always get things right when it comes to executing sequels, and Terrifier 3 has done a wonderful job in this regard. The movie hits all the right spots with the right amount of ridiculous stuff and morbid violence packed together. We love the Christmas spirit used in the slasher flick, and the constant carols and Santa costumes are almost addictive. Art is back in his elements, and he is adequately terrifying and funny all at once. We even have no complaints on the storyline, which never fails to entertain and even leaves room for a final showdown going ahead in the franchise. All in all, we strongly recommend watching the movie, especially if you're a slasher horror fan and don't mind the bizarre settings of a demonic killer clown on the prowl. Do let us know in the comments below what you think of the movie and Art the Clown's unique anatomy that is now all set to become even weirder in the upcoming franchise edition.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.